Hello, my fellow Intro to Theater friends. My name is Chris Jordan, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let my friend Private Jenkins do it.
Evening, darlings. My name's Private Jenkins here at the Haunted River. We're going to be talking a little bit about some different theatrical experiences like you can experience here, but namely the importance of costumes and makeup and set design. First off, Laurie's having a wee bit of an interview with a costume maker for the part of the British and Nauvoo pageants. Let's have a listen, shall we?
Hello. We are going to listen to a discussion between Laura Lynn and Mary Lou. Mary Lou is one of the designers who helped create the costumes used in the Nauvoo and British pageants. Laura Lynn begins by asking Mary Lou, what are the functions of costumes in a production? Let's go to the interview now.
Hello! To answer your question, costumes serve many purposes in a production. They can help define characters and their relationships, the time and place where the story takes place, and just kind of the overall mood and atmosphere of the performance. They can even assist in reinforcing changes in dramatic action.
Wow, so costumes are really important. We want to focus on a few of these purposes that you spoke about really fast and how they relate to the Nauvoo and the British pageants. So how do you feel the costumes help define the characters in the pageant?
A lot of characters have distinct details in their costumes, and this can help audiences learn things about them before they even speak. They don't even have to say a word, and you can just look at the character and you can see something about them. For example, we do have a character in the Nauvoo pageant that has a tartan-like vest and a traditional Glengarry hat, and these both give the impression that the character is from Scotland, because he is. And so these details can really help to not only tell you where the character is from, but also to differentiate between different characters.
That is amazing. But how do costumes help provide a time and place for the performance?
So the time and place, also known as the setting, are able to be portrayed in costumes for the Nauvoo pageant because we have costumes that are the everyday costumes of the 19th century. And so because they are the everyday clothes of the 19th century, it can be assumed that the play does take place in the 19th century. And you never find a t-shirt or jeans in the pageant because it'd be completely out of place and it doesn't fit the time and place.
That is funny how something that is so normal in everyday life can be completely out of place when put into a performance like this. So what do costumes do to set the mood and the atmosphere of the pageant?
This is actually one of my very favorite parts about the costumes in the Nauvoo pageant. One of the major themes of the pageant, if you haven't seen it, is they are building the Nauvoo temple. And so we decided to use the color of the different fabrics to help to show how the light of the gospel and the light of understanding is entering into the saint's heart as the temple is being built. So each character starts with a darker set of clothing, and it's a darker color, and then and that's at the beginning of the play. And then as it gradually transitions to later on in the play, they'll get lighter costumes, where it's maybe a lighter piece and then a darker piece. And then at the very end, they all have really light clothes to exhibit all the light that has come from the temple and the joy that comes from the temple.
I love that concept. It is also interesting because, as you can see in the pictures, the individual dark costume isn't very remarkable. But as you put all the dark costumes together, there's all these vibrant colors. And just the same as the light colored costumes, you've got pinks and greens and tans and blues, and they don't look very light. But when you put them all together on the stage, it is breathtaking. It's like a choir of angels are singing. I really felt like the light costumes are powerful visual to the message that they're trying to portray.
I couldn't agree more. Do you have any other questions for me?
So I have a few questions about the design process. First, what skills do you need to be a costume designer?
So there are actually very many skills that can be useful to you as you design costumes. Some of the most important skills would be fashion design, visual arts, tailoring, and cultural history, and even acting.
Wow, I didn't know you had to know how to act in order to design costumes. So my last question is this. What is the process behind making each costume?
That's a great question. It's actually a really long process. I usually start by studying the play, and then I will meet with the director and the designers, and from there I'll create schemes, and I'll create action charts and preliminary sketches and all those for the costumes, and then I'll examine the various combinations, and I'll see how they fulfill the needs of each of the different scenes and make sure that they reflect the progress of the drama or in the dramatic action well, and see if it fits together as a group. From there, I'll meet with the other designers again, and then we'll show all of our sketches and research, and we'll discuss the design approach and make sure that the decisions and all the revisions and do all of that. And then I'll finish by rendering the costumes in color as a color sketch. And I usually will, at this point in time, attach colors, like swatches of the different fabrics, so then that I'm wanting to use and we'll attach those to the color sketch.
Wow, that is a long process. So then do you just make the costumes after that?
Actually, not quite. After that whole process, before we can actually make the garment, we have to take the measurements of all the actors, and then we usually from there we will gather all the materials together, and we'll make the draping decisions, and then we'll also create patterns and mock-ups so to make sure that we don't make any mistakes on the actual garment, because that would be really bad. And then using the actual fabric, we will sew the garments together very loosely, so if we make any mistake, we're able to fix them. And then usually from there, we'll call the actors in for a fitting and see if there's any changes that we need to make, and make sure that everything fits nicely. And if after this fitting, if there are any adjustments that we need to do, then we'll make those adjustments, and then we'll add any ornaments or anything that we want to put onto it, and then we'll do our final fitting and make sure that everything's sewn together really nicely, and from that, it's finished.
Thank you so much, Mary Lou. This has been such an insight into your world of costuming and costume design. It's amazing to be able to see the design process and how it is applied to a production as amazing as the Nauvoo and British pageants. Thank you for being with us today.
Wasn't that lovely? Now he's going to go over to Anita to hear a little bit about makeup and how it makes us beautiful in preparation for our theatrical experiences.
Hello, my name's Anita Taylor, and this is my portion of our group project. When my dad was in the Navy, he had an opportunity once upon a time to escort some VIPs between ships. Many people may have thought of how beautiful these VIPs were, but the biggest thought my father had was that these VIPs look like porcelain dolls. What do VIPs and porcelain dolls have to do with makeup and the stage? The VIPs were the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Their makeup looked overdone up close, so that their faces could be read from a distance. Makeup for the stage is done very similarly for much the same reason. Consider the following photographs of myself. The first photo, oops, wrong one. This photo is of me with no makeup on. For comparison. The next group is basic makeup that anyone might go and do for going out for work or perhaps even on a date. Notice how it's hard to see the eyes very clearly, and that there's plenty of shadows, particularly where my cheeks are or around the nose. The last set of photographs is me done up in stage makeup. See how the shadows are way lessened. My eyes are brighter, it's easier to see them, and there's overall more detail in the face. Even though I am very much an amateur when it comes to applying makeup, the differences are still pretty clear. Makeup for the stage, much like makeup for film and television, has a variety of applications. It can make someone look older or younger, even without the use of prosthetics. An excellent example of this is Kurt Russell's character in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Over 80% of his de-aging process on the actor was achieved purely through makeup. This was being able to be achieved because he has had the same makeup artist with him for pretty much his entire career. While that was for film and not for live theater, is a testament to the power of what makeup alone can do. When you add in the use of prosthetics to makeup, it is no wonder that makeup is an integral part of achieving the vision of the director and bringing the performance to life.
Thank you, Anita. Now, before we go into our next section, we're going to move to somewhere a little bit more comfortable. Here we are, on the banks of the Haunted River. Home sweet home. All the sounds of the lovely animals and water running. I was going to hand it off to our two lovely Michelles and Heather to tell us a little bit more about scene design, how it can really lift the experience when you're truly immersed in what you're supposed to be immersed in.
Hi, it's Michelle Tremblay. I'm here with Jimmy and Lindsay, and we are talking about set and scene design. So Lindsay's the director, and Jimmy, he's the one that does all the scenes and that. So how does a director usually organize the play?
In a high school, it's a little bit different than at a regular theater, because at a regular theater, you have an artistic director, a producer, a technical director, and all of that stuff. And then there's the director, and then there's the choreographer, and the set builder and set designer, and the costumes, and all of the stuff. But in a high school theater, the director does all, like, everything that I mentioned before the director, and then I luckily have people who help me with everything else. I have to pick what show I think is gonna work, and then I have to decide whether or not we think we can do it, which Jimmy helps me with, like, technically, can we make it happen? And then you break down a rehearsal schedule, and then you decide what you're gonna do for the designs and choreograph it and all of that stuff.
Do you feel like Jimmy's able to give feedback, like if you have a design in mind and he's able to say, nah, that's not gonna work?
Oh, definitely. Jimmy and I have a very cohesive,
Yes, we
like,
work
process.
together very well. In fact, like, I can't, like, doing design, it's not me and it's not Lindsay, it's us.
Yeah.
Two of us sat down together. She had some ideas, we sketched them out, and then from that sketch, I did a model, and then from the model, we played with it and made sure that it was gonna do and function the way we wanted it to go.
You know what the show needs, and then you're like, these are kind of my ideas, but it's both of us doing that.
How do you create a floor plan?
One of the things we did this time that we've never done, we actually taped out on the floor where things were gonna go.
Okay.
And so the kids could kind of get a feel for where it was gonna be before we actually built it.
So when you design the set, do you take into account wardrobe changes?
No.
Okay.
No, because usually the script accommodates the wardrobe changes.
Okay, so I've noticed that in the plays that I've seen here, that there are scene shifting. What methods do you use to do that?
Given we're a high school setting, we have a hard time getting enough crew members to just do the set changes. And so the kids have to be involved. They're already on the stage, so most of the time it makes more sense anyway to have them. Otherwise, you would normally cast or you would costume all of your crew members so they just blend in with the scene.
So when it comes to the space of the stage, do you feel like you're limited to what you can do with your scenes? Like in building them?
So not the space of the stage, the wings. So the parts of the stage that isn't seen, that's where we struggle the most. Our set design is what we can put off stage rather than what can fit on.
Okay. So after you've completed a set, have you ever had to go back and make changes to it?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. In fact, as we build pieces and they rehearse with them, they are like trying to make them work, and they're like, this isn't working. What can we do different?
What has been your favorite play to design?
My daughter was in Phantom of the Opera here. One of the funnest things to design was the rigging and the things to make the chandelier be able to fall. We had to avoid, to get it centered in the space here, there's a structural member that's in the way, so we had to design this offset, and anyway, it was a lot of fun. There were so many moving pieces and so many different things. We actually had a wall that would raise and lower during the show. Come check this out. So we actually have about 10 feet behind those doors. So that works really good. In Hello Dolly, we actually had the mansion, or not the mansion, the Harmonia Gardens restaurant behind here. So, kind of fun.
Let's see how scene design creates mood and atmosphere. I would like to show you one part of the scene design from our team. Do you know how the magic carpet flies on the stage? Can you imagine that the magic carpet needs 40 tons of steel to hang above the stage?
But as far as the scale of the production, this is the biggest. One of the reasons that we are so large is our magic carpet effect. For that to work, we need to add a lot of steel into any venue, and we bring all that steel with us. There's 40 tonne that hang above the stage. We can make the carpet look like it's flying at night time. People would like to know how it works, but unfortunately, we can't say how it works. Glitz, it's glamour, it's sparkles, there's pyro, there's everything involved in this production.
According to the American Institute of Architects, the Hill Center Theater's center stage, located in Utah, is the most technologically advanced in the world, with an 80-foot flyloft, a lift system with 8 hoists to drop in actors and set pieces, and ascending and descending stages. Scene changes at Hill Center Theater are done manually with stage crew and even cast members placing or removing objects, flying with props being lowered down from higher levels, and with an elevator stage. The stage is oval-shaped and positioned over a 55-foot by 50-foot diameter concrete sub-pit that houses the stage structure and systems. The stage system includes 47 axes of motion, using more than 130 motors for hoisting, lifting, sliding, and rotating. The loading level and catwalk structure sits on 8 6-foot beams that were welded and fabricated on site. Scenes are viewed in a 360-degree way, and the stage is utilized to make each scene impactful. Placing the audience around the story of the production not only increases the intimacy of the performance, but also helps the audience feel more invested and involved in the outcome.
And that's all we have. Hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the productions, including makeup and costume and scene design. And next time you goes and see one, you might be a little bit more mindful about everything that went into it. Now, comes and see me here, pay me a wee bit of a little visit.